Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. I'm actually getting ready to go to the gym, but I wanted to briefly talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes victory in men's basketball over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And of course, if you're not as familiar and you're just starting to pay attention to college basketball, this has definitely been the best start for Fred Hoiberg and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They recently had a phenomenal victory over Purdue, the top team in the Big Ten at the moment. And Nebraska came into this game as a quad two opponent for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Of course, Iowa is 0-5. We'll take a look at their team sheet in quad one games. And so, by the way, if you guys are not subscribed, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Support your boy here. Would love to get to 2,000 subscribers by the time the next football season rolls around. At the very least, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. Without further ado, let's dive into this. So, in the limited coverage so far this year that I've done of the Iowa men's basketball team, I have said to fans to not get too concerned. It definitely slightly concerned, but don't get too worked up about their current record, because all of their losses, with the exception of one to Michigan, which, by the way, was a terrible loss. Had they not lost to Michigan, Iowa would squarely be in the NCAA tournament right now. But the thing is that five of their, or four or five, we got to pull it up. They lost to Oklahoma, who's a top 25 KenPom team. Iowa State, top 25. They're actually top 15. Let's see. Purdue, top 10 KenPom team. And Creighton, top 10 KenPom, or top 15, top 10 KenPom team. So half of their losses have come to legitimate, not just NCAA tournament teams, but high seeded teams. If the NCAA tournament were to start today, they would be high rated or high seeded NCAA tournament teams. So while it would have been great for them to beat at least one of those teams or two of those teams, it still is not the end of the world that they lost to those teams, and it won't be used against them. Those are the best losses that a team can have if possible. But there were definitely some concerns with Iowa. Their offense was not as good as we have been accustomed to seeing. Their defense was having its usual struggles. So let's take a look. And Iowa was really struggling with who to have in their starting lineup. Again, Purdue, number 3 in KenPom. Wisconsin, that's the other team Iowa lost to, number 11 on KenPom. Iowa State, 15th. Creighton, 13th. And Oklahoma, 20th. So all of their losses have come against top 20. Well, not all their losses, but more than half of their losses have come to top 20 KenPom teams. And I've said previously that Fran McCaffrey really understands the whole net system at this point, because at the end of the day, what matters the most is quality wins, not quality. You can have it. I'll put it to you guys this way. It's worth it to lose 5 games as Iowa has to quad one type teams, only to gain one quality quad one win, okay, or game. So the weight that is put on a quad one victory is massive, and losses of course matter. And if you're going to lose, ultimately, as Fran McCaffrey knows good and well, you may as well lose to quality quad one, quad two teams. So It's not the end of the world. Those are about as good a losses that Iowa could have. Iowa now sits at 45th in the Ken Palm with the 17th best offense in the country and 117th best defense. The thing that has changed this Iowa team around of late has been Owen Freeman. Okay. When I did my recruiting video on him, I told you guys that he was under recruited. He's a great kid, by the way. When I did his video, I sent it, I tagged him on Twitter, and we had some brief conversations. And he is just a quality, good kid. But just speaking on his game, the kid is, I knew it back then, was now he had high Big Ten offers. So if it's possible, he still was under recruited. He should have been recruited by the likes of, a North Carolina, a Duke. I mean, to find a big man at 6'10, 6'11 that moves, that has the agility and end to end speed that Owen Freeman has is very, very difficult. So let's quickly look at Iowa's game against Nebraska, and then I'll show their net ranking for you guys, and then we'll get out of here. So 94-76 shellacking of Nebraska. The game was tight all the way up until, I would say, about the 10-minute mark in the second. Iowa had a strong lead first half. Nebraska battled back, especially early in the second half. Their offense was starting to click. They weren't knocking down 3-point shots as they're accustomed to doing, but they were getting baskets at the rim, and their offense was flowing much better. But towards the end of the second half, with about 10 minutes to go, Iowa really clamped down on defense and really started hitting shots. Let's see here. So Iowa did a good job of not allowing any Nebraska player to go off. Iowa had a really, really balanced game. I mean, they scored 94 points. So even though Iowa's offense is not as efficient so far this year as it was last year, they still have no problem putting points on the board, and they're top 10 in the country in scoring, if not top 5. Tony Perkins, 11 points, 15 assists. He is really, that's the other thing that has added to Iowa's recent success is Tony Perkins, as I predicted at the beginning of the year, has stepped into the point guard role. I said that Tony Perkins, his main thing that he was going to have to work on in the offseason was growing into more of a point guard. Now, Tony Perkins at his best is a combo guard. A guy that can play two guard, he can play off guard, and he can play point guard. But of the two, being a point guard was not his best quality. And I said he was going to have to work on his playmaking ability, his pure point guard skills. And we're seeing him start to take a huge leap forward. The guy had 15 assists against Nebraska. That is unbelievable. Having 15 assists is the same as dropping 30 points in a college game, okay? That is no joke. Peyton Sandfort chipped in 19 with 10 rebounds. Say what you will about Peyton Sandfort with his kind of streaking scoring, but he's been more consistent of late. And I would say that Iowa's 3 keys to victory, it's not their leading scorer, Ben Krieke. It's actually the other guys, Tony Perkins, Owen Freeman, and Peyton Sandfort. Mostly, I would say Peyton Sandfort. As Peyton Sandfort goes, as go the Iowa Hawkeyes, because Peyton Sandfort just opens up so much for Iowa when he's knocking down shots. Owen Freeman had his best game of the year with 22 points, 10 boards, and 2 assists. Excellent game. Patrick McCaffrey had a decent game too with 12 points. Ben Krieke, 12. Josh Dix with one of his best games of his career. As I said way back when I did his recruiting video, I think that this kid is going to be a stud at Iowa. He just needs to continue growing and gain more confidence. But he is such a smooth basketball player. His shot is smooth, it's effortless. He can hit mid range, he can hit 3-point shots. He's way more athletic than maybe people give him credit for. I think that Josh Dix is a potential NBA prospect. He has the type of skills that translate to the NBA. Brock Harding has seen his minutes go down a little bit. With the emergence of Tony Perkins at the point guard, same with Desante Bowen. Um, let's see if I was kind of hoping that it would have the team stats. Uh, Team stats 52%, Nebraska 47, three-pointers 42, 15%. That was the stat of the game right there. Free throw percent 64 to 80. Iowa has to get that to 70%. The number I always say is minimum you have to shoot 70% from the free throw stripe. Rebounds 38 to 35, and Iowa had 30 assists, another stat of the game, to only 6 turnovers. I want to see how the minutes were divvied out in this game, because Google was not showing it there, unfortunately. So this was a great win for Iowa. They are squarely back in the conversation of the NCAA tournament. Uh, if the NCAA tournament were to start today, would they be in the NCAA tournament? Probably not, but they are squarely in the conversation. And I would say that they are probably one of the first four out. Um, Last four out, that's probably where they would be at. So Harding played 11 minutes, Dix played 27, and Bowen only played 3 minutes. Maybe he got injured. It's Desante Bowen is the issue. Obviously, is Tony Perkins is in front of him. I really like Desante Bowen, and I think he does have the potential to be a rock solid point guard for Iowa. But you know, Fran McCaffrey this year has, and especially if Josh Dix is hitting shots, the thing is, Tony Perkins played 37 minutes. Okay, he's not going to be coming off the court. And if Josh Dix is hitting shots, and he's going to take up those other minutes. So, that's really what it boils down to there. There's only so many minutes that can go around, and Fran McCaffrey has so far this year shown that he prefers to play big rather than having multiple guards out there. And I would say he's done that throughout his career. He is not a guy that plays multiple guards. We saw it a few times when he had Mike Gesell and Anthony Clemens in there. We saw it when he had Joe Toussaint and Jordan Bohannon out there, and maybe a few other lineups. But for the most part, he really does like to go big. All right, guys, let's see the net rankings here. I just want to show you guys this net ranking team sheet, and then we will get out of here. Let's see. We'll do Warren Nolan. All right. Net rankings. Ew, what is that? Diabetes? So Iowa is, oh, this is from last year. We got to go to 2024, guys. 2024. So my prediction is obviously still that Iowa is going to make the NCAA tournament. I just, after Iowa's victory over Nebraska, and I've thought about this before, but Iowa really does have a veteran team. I mean, you think about how many games Tony Perkins has played. how many games Patrick McCaffrey has played, like legit minutes. Peyton Sandfort. I mean, they have a veteran team. I think that they absolutely have the ability to go on a run here in the Big Ten and finish in the top five of the Big Ten standings. Honestly, they have some work to do, but their starting lineup especially is chock full of guys that have played and battled in college basketball for multiple years now. Now that's not the end all be all, but it's definitely something. And Ben Krieke is also a senior. So I think they early on in the year, number one, they played against really good teams. Number two, they were working in some new faces. Ben Krieke starting and figuring out what his role would be and kind of how the offense would operate with him in there as the focal point. So Iowa jumped 10 spots after their victory over Nebraska, 10-6. They are now 58 in the net ranking. And they are 2-3 in the Big Ten, squarely back in it. RPI 86, net 58, strength of schedule 63rd. And here are their quad sheets. According to RPI, they have one quad one victory. I'm sure that's either Seton Hall or Nebraska. And then their net rankings, it's Nebraska and Seton Hall that they have those two victories. Quad three, it would be Rutgers and their loss to Michigan. And then the five teams that I told you guys about that Iowa lost to. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis of Iowa basketball. They will be at it again. I'll have you guys covered every step of the way now that Iowa is fully in Big Ten basketball mode and really getting after it. I think that this Iowa basketball team definitely has some work to do, but I think that they have the talent to make the NCAA tournament and be right back in the thick of things. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Last but not least, DDAP, don't be a pussy willow on facts or feelings because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye.